Just to be clear, you're saying that women gaining the ability to orgasm during sex is a downfall of the black community. That,
I'm saying sexual
I'm not
liberation.
saying that.
I
gotcha.
said sexual liberation. I never said that. I said sexual liberation. Now, you not being able to do it in your marriage may kill that marriage.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know we're simplifying it, but I do think sexual liberation. That's why I said I think there's a good side and a bad side to it. I think the bad side of it is what is impacting our community. I definitely do think that. And yeah, there's no argument with that. But
I stepped on his
we
comment.
got to take the good with the bad though too. Like that the bad is the bad, but the good is the good too. I think that's very different when you really look at a situation where a woman was in women were in marriages for 50, 60, 70 years, not in maybe they did.
But maybe maybe you shouldn't. Maybe that's the problem.
Have y'all ever asked your grandma, did she come?
Never.
So how do we know? Dub will remember for 8 months. Fellas, practice edging. Look it up.
She better not be out here coming, honey.
I'm not talked to my grandmother, but I've talked to my mom. And my daughter talks to me.
So you got a deal report on your father?
Yes.
I'm not talking to my mom. I could care less. I do not want to know that bit of information, nor will I ever ask.
I mean, I got married early. I had questions, right? So we talked. And the same thing, my daughter, I should not feel my daughter. One thing that I've always said with my children, there will be nothing that they could never come to me or their dad to talk about. Nothing was off the table. Nothing. And so we started them young with conversations like, because kids will test you with something to see how you react, to see if they can trust that they can really come to you to talk to you. So my kids would just be, what would happen? Like throwing out random questions. What if I stole something from the store? You know what I'm saying? So we started with them very young to come to us, to talk to us until this day. And they're grown adults. They will call me or call their dad, depending on what delivery they want in terms of conversation.
I think that so this guy, John the Baptist, is all bad. Thank you, John the Baptist. This is the thing. Having 5 kids has nothing to do with having
good sex.
Yeah.
I mean, good sex and an orgasm may be 2 different things.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with having kids has nothing to do with that in which we're talking about.
You know what's crazy? Remember how I was talking about the sexual
strategy? You got an AP back in.
The sexual mating strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandma, she was married to this man that was like 6'8", extremely light skinned with green eyes, and she had my father, my aunt, and my uncle. But how we was talking about abuse, the abuse occurred in the relationship. And she ended up leaving him and then being with the man that was like 5'8", and he probably wasn't that attractive, but he provided for her the rest of her life. Like in my real life, I seen that play out. Well, I didn't see. Well, I seen the end. I didn't see the first part, but I seen the end. I think he was happy too. I never got to meet the other one, but the one I did meet, he stepped in and was a stepfather. The kids loved him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some situations in my family that was, it wasn't my parents, but we had some situations in the family that
my grandma kind of like Whitley from A Different World. You know,
yeah, we all know Whitley.
Yeah, she had the juice back in her day. I ain't gonna lie.
So I just want to address John the Baptist, his super chat real quick. emotional dump. So I don't think you understand me fully. You have to create the space for your woman to be able to to release. Because if she doesn't release to you, she will release to her work husband. And what does that turn into? So you have to, as a man, you have to be able to give her that opportunity to let all of the day, and I'm putting quotes around day, let all of the day out. You have to give her that space. And if you don't, whatever you get after that is what you get.
That will. I'm not shaming stepdads. I support. That's why I was saying the kids loved him, and he was a good man to her, and they stayed together. It's what happened. And I don't know. She didn't find him attractive.
Listen, at some point, attraction is the last thing you need to pay the bills. Okay. Attraction was nice. When you didn't need money, but when the rent is due, and you're hungry and you need a sandwich, attraction ain't gonna get it done.
Well, the woman's name that I was talking about that laid the foundation for like things like FaceTime and stuff like that to be built. Her name was Dr. Marion Croak. You can also look up Valerie Thomas and those two, but I was talking more so about Valerie Cloak. But like I said, we won't know about stuff like that because it's not taught. I'm not saying that
she was integral in the process. She didn't create it. She was integral in the process.
The reason I said that is because somebody had said in one of the super chats that I was lying. And I come across certain things of interest. When you start like what y'all talk about algorithms. So based on certain things that I read and I consume, information is given to me. So I read it. That's it. And it is stuff that the vast majority of people don't know because we're not taught. I didn't know until I read it.
Look at this convo about nature. And I think a lot of men have had that experience.
It didn't equate to cheating to me because I was really loving them.
He said he had 2 girlfriends and he didn't consider himself cheating because he loved both of them. I think a lot of men have been in situation.
I mean, as long as they knew of each other, it wasn't cheating.
I don't think they knew.
Oh,
in his scenario.
Then I was cheating. Then I was cheating.
But listen, I want to derail the conversation for 2 seconds before I leave. Yeah, I'm short, but when I meet people that's shorter than me, I'm like, Jesus.
What's your height?
That is tough. Exactly, it's either 5 3/4, or it's like 5. It's like in between the 1/2 and 3/4 of 5'5". But it's just like when I'm like below average height, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I see people that are taller, they be like, "Dang, bro, that's tough." Right? If you like 6'2", I know a lot of my homeboys, they like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", right? And when I talk to them, they be like, "Dang, bro." And then when I see somebody shorter than me, I'm like, "Dang, bro."
Well, I will say he got him a baddie though. My grandma for that time was a super baddie. So he had him a baddie for like 30, 40, 50 years.
That's what I said. Women, I ain't gonna say women don't care about looks. Yes, they do. But they're able to make the decision over like what else can he provide outside of that. And if the only thing he has is looks, she may have a good time with him, but she won't, bet on him. She's okay with looking for something else that's going to be a long-term characteristic. And she would settle for somebody that may not look that fine, but is going to provide. Absolutely.
With the way we was playing that game earlier about what you can build a person with the $5, that might be. Now I know people shame stepdads and say all this stuff about them, but there are women that may be out of your bracket, attraction wise. That's how you probably get add an extra 2 points by being a stepdad. I know they talk crazy about it in the space, but If I had to, I would negotiate it. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I just learned what's that guy's name? Oh my goodness. Like he's Bezos, Jeff
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos.
Just found out that he gave up his rights to his son, like when he was young. I forgot what his original
The
name was.
oldest Jeff, his dad.
Yeah. His biological dad gave up his rights, like the mom and him got a divorce, so he didn't know his dad at all. And the father didn't want any responsibilities and just gave up his rights. She ends up meeting Bezos. That's who she married. The guy she married, his last name was Bezos, and he raised Jeff and gave him his last name. And now I know men talk about legacy. So, like, yeah, technically,
now that's his legacy, and that ain't even his kid. He got $1 billion legacy.
The father owns a bike shop. You know what I'm saying? The biological father owns a bike shop. Nobody knows who he is, but everybody knows him as a Bezos. So that became his legacy, even though that technically wasn't his biological seed. Everybody is going to associate him as dad. So that becomes his legacy. So I'm just saying, I know I'm not trying to say everybody needs to be a stepdad. If you know that that's not something you want to do, don't do it.
Right.
Like nobody's tripping on men that make that decision. But what I don't like is other men trying to knock those men who are okay with doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time, the guys who want to be stepdads, they ain't listen to these men anyway. They got their own head. They like people out here doing what's best for them. That it don't matter how much they say that. Trust me, they don't care.
Yeah, I think it's
Virgin said, but he's not a real Bezos. That's why he pointed that out. Who pointed it out? It was reporters that found it out. Like he didn't say anything about it. Reporters found that out, and they went to the biological dad, and the biological dad didn't even know that was his son. That's how crazy it was. The reporters actually told him.
What'd he do when he found out?
He was
like, well, damn.
He was like, yeah. They asked him, did he regret it? He was like, yeah. But let's be real. The truth of the matter is that Jeff Bezos would have never, I ain't gonna say never, we don't know. Probably more than likely would have never became Jeff Bezos if he was raised by his biological dad. Because the dad that she met, the stepdad, was able to provide him opportunities in a life that the other father wouldn't have.
So his mom instituted the mating strategy I was talking about. That's another example of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, the man you want.
And the professor is trying to say that's still bringing up the exception to the rule and not the rule. That's not true. My point is, yes, at that level, of course, that's an exception to the rule. Most people, even if they're with their biological parents, are not going to be Jeff Bezos.
I mean, right? Remember, Obama was raised by another man. He wasn't raised by his dad. He was raised by another man.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, the most average, everyday, people have been raised by step parents and turned out to be good people. So you can be a step parent and be good, like the kids grow up great. They're a great reflection of your parenting.
Y'all, let me just tell you this. I know fathers need to be involved with their kids. I kid you not. I was at an elementary school dance. In the elementary school dance, there was a little pop off at an elementary school parent dance.
A pop off? Like twerking or fighting?
Yeah, a little argument, a little baby argument. Okay. You know what I'm saying? They got pulled into the office, and both of them was accompanied by their daddies. And I thought to myself, what? sometimes I do be thinking that, and don't get it twisted. I think that men have this thing where you gotta protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? And don't be letting nobody. And I just thought that was ironic. That
Were they black?
Yeah.
Again, black dads are the most involved. Thank you.
Yeah, they were black. I mean, there were white ones in there too, though. It was like all different.
Just saying.
I'm about to be involved in some sleep.
Can I ask you
something? I'm about to be on that Me Too movement.
Do y'all think dads are involved in certain aspects? When you say most involved, well, of course, when we're comparing to other men, but what I mean by that is I see black dads involved in certain areas specifically, and not taking nothing away from it. Any involvement, especially in this climate, is great. But in terms of the education, just me being a teacher, in terms of the education aspect, I don't see, I do see dads, I do see black dads. But I do find that most of the time, the dads don't be involved in that aspect of the child. They're more involved in the athletic aspect of the child. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it's important for dads to be involved in every aspect.
If I'm gonna be honest, it sounded like you just diminished the role of the father that's actually being present and active.
You didn't.
That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I was saying because in those occasions when I do see the dad involved in the educational aspect, I see the outcome better. Like the kid is doing that work. When the father's like, if you have a problem, call me. I see that the outcome for that kid is better. So that's why I'm saying I think it's important for them to be involved in every aspect, not like, because I guess men enjoy the athletic side. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to be involved in that because they enjoy it. But I definitely see a difference when they involved in the education aspect of it. And
I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
Dub Will with the 499. If a man wants to be a stepdad, fine. I just don't think it's wise if he don't already have kids of his own. You feel me? I agree. I would like to have my own.
I agree with that too. Yeah,
why can't why can't he have kids with the woman that already has a kid that he decided to marry?
That too.
Biological clock, maybe.
If she's still able.
What's the oldest on record woman having a child?
Old as hell. You're not gonna do that.
You see that episode? I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that.
But that is definitely not the norm.
You seen the Dave Chappelle skit where he was the richest man alive and he was cooking dinosaur eggs?
Yo, these men, like, y'all be so angry. Y'all, like, men be getting mad when women have opinions and they don't like it.
I'm not mad.
The Crown Prince, when you say do your job, let us, being a part of your kids' education is your job, sir. Take a compliment when I'm trying to give it to you. I'm saying don't just be involved in
we got a lot of learning to do.
It's so crazy. You do your job and let us do ours. Sir, that is your job if you're parenting. Dang.
And yes, it is your job as a man.
They teach kids practically outside, building, repairing, survival. Wrong women think the way they teach and learn. Again, trying to play with both controllers. Do your job, let us. My point is that's part of your job and you're slacking. Do your job. I just got finished saying that we see that the outcomes when the father are involved in the education part, the kid does better. That is your job.
I think compliment might not be the right word. Maybe instruction or adage or appendage.
Again, education takes place more.
Why you yelling at me?
No, I'm not, because he's trying
Again.
to make a point.
Again.
I'm sorry. He's trying to make a point, but you're making the situation worse. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying the comment that you're making is stupid. To say that education takes place more than in the classroom, that it does, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to be involved in a classroom too. That kid is spending more time in a
maybe
classroom.
he's not an educator. Like, maybe, there are people who just don't believe in education. That's not a priority to them. Maybe that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it was a priority for me.
I'm just saying I get what he's trying to say. Education takes more, like, you learn other things outside of the classroom. That's true, which you should. And as a parent, that is your responsibility to teach them outside the classroom too. But it doesn't negate the fact that you need to be involved in the classroom as well. It's both. You can't escape that if you're trying to be a good parent.
You got it, Miss Jakin. You got it.
I don't know. It bothers me. You know why it bothers me? This is the one area I'm gonna actually give Black men compliment. Black men, or boys, they would be boys at that point, is that based on a graduation rate, this is the area in which most Black boys outnumber girls in terms of graduation rate. Black boys' high school graduation rate is higher than Black girls. So that is the bomb. But I look at the fact that when I see Black dads involved, it increases the chances that they get to that graduation line. And as an educator, to me, that's very important. And I want to give our kids the best opportunity and advantage to get there, because most kids of color, the stats for their graduation rate is not that good when you compare it to their counterparts. So, that's why I'm saying that. So I go hard on the education thing, because that's very important, because I see the results of poor parenting. I see the results. We deal with the results of the lack of not having a good male role model in the house. We see the results of that. So yeah, I'm gonna go hard when it comes to stuff like that.
Mistake, are you a feminist?
Huh?
Feminist?
Am I what?
A feminist?
Yeah.
I never thought I asked you that before.
Mm-hmm.
A new generation, or you just from the traditional?
No, I'm of the first wave.
Okay.
I'm more in alignment with that aspect. Absolutely.
I wish they would create a separate.
The professor, so is mine. So is mine. So we competing about that.
About
you flex,
what?
and I could flex too.
You got a PhD?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had that Kevin Samuels button. Be like, I'm a PhD.
Yes, this is
But this is the point, though. You see how I was just having a conversation, just saying that I'm passionate about education. I didn't bring up my title. I didn't do anything.
I never heard you
y'all
bring it up.
talk about the competition. Sometimes that competition, it don't be us. That was him flexing. Nobody knew that I had that. You never be on here ever heard me say, call me Dr. Mistaken. I even at work, when I first got my kids, I didn't even make them call me that.
That's dope. I didn't know you had a PhD. I got a PhD too. It's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
Kanye said it best.
Go look up the stats again, Professor. I just looked this up. I kid you not. I just looked this up.
How you know and I didn't know, Professor? You must. You say he said he knew.
I don't know how, because I don't be bringing it up.
I think I've only ever heard you say it one time, and it was a long time ago.